NBC sports program is brought to you in living color.
The name of the game is defense. The offense sells the tickets, but defense wins the ball game. And it will decide today's game between the Baltimore Colts, champions of the National Football League, and the New York Jets, champions of the American Football League. In pro football's family feud, the third annual Super Bowl game in Miami. Hi, everybody. This is Kurt Gowdy here at the Orange Bowl in Miami, where the 1969 Super Bowl game will get underway 30 minutes from now. A complete sellout, of course. The weather is gusty. We may have some rain this afternoon. It rained hard last night, but the field was covered. The Baltimore Colts are heavier favorites to win this Super Bowl game than Green Bay was in 1967 and 1968. Now, with me today are Al DeRogatis and Kyle Rowe, former National Football League stars who have also been following the AFL on our telecast throughout the season, and Pat Summerall, who will serve as our NFL expert. And together, we'll show you how the Jets and Colts got into today's game, why the Colts are favored, and what the Jets must do if they hope to win. The Jets earned their berth here in the Super Bowl by beating Oakland 27-23 in the AFL title game on December 29th in New York. On that same day, Baltimore won the NFL championship with a 34-0 rout of Cleveland. The Jet game was a thriller. They led 20-16 in the last period. But with less than 9 minutes to go, George Atkinson intercepted a Joe Namath pass intended for Don Maynard. Atkinson goes all the way to the Jet 6 before Namath himself slams Atkinson out of bounds. On the next play, Pete Bannersack scores for Oakland, and the Raiders led 23-20. After the kickoff, Namath found George Sauer with one of the 49 passes that Namath threw that afternoon. The next play was a big one. Namath fires the bomb to Maynard, who turned the tables on Atkinson with a 52-yard circus catch down to the Oakland 6. From there, with 7:47 left to play, Namath again passed to Maynard. He was the secondary target. It was Joe's third touchdown pass of the day and Maynard's second touchdown catch. Gave the Jets a Eubank a 27-23 and their first AFL championship. The NFL title game was a showcase for that magnificent Baltimore defense. It held Cleveland to 56 yards rushing, and Leroy Kelly, the NFL's leading rusher, to only 28 yards. Starting with a scoreless first quarter, the Colts' front four put tremendous pressure on the Brown quarterback, Bill Nelson. But he somehow found Paul Warfield, and Cleveland was on the march. When the drive stalled, a Cleveland field goal attempt was deflected by Bubba Smith and recovered by Baltimore. Browns coach Blanton Collier said it was the turning point of the game. After Baltimore scored on a Lou Michaels field goal, Earl Morrow passed to Jimmy Orr to start a Colt march. 5 plays later, Tom Matty made it 10-0, going over from the 1. It was all downhill for Cleveland after that. Bill Nelson was intercepted by Mike Curtis, who juggled the ball but held it before stepping out. Baltimore made it 17-0 3 plays later when Matty scored, and in 9 of their last 10 games, the Colts have not yielded a touchdown until they were at least 17 points ahead. In the second half, Matty got his third touchdown, and Baltimore won it 34-0. Cleveland's first shutout since 1958. Al DeRogatis, now that we've seen the two teams here today, and we've talked in the name of the show is the name of the game is defense, let's break the defense down today.
Kurt, let's just talk about briefly the 3 segments really that we'll concentrate on. 1, the defense against the pass. Secondly, the defense against the rush. Thirdly, we'll be talking about the defense, the deep secondary.
Now in that secondary, we're going to be talking today about Baltimore's sophisticated zone, and New York plays mostly man-to-man. How about explaining that to some of the casual fans who may be looking in?
All right, well, now man-to-man is relatively simple to talk about, Kurt, difficult to execute. One man follows one man regardless of where he goes. The zone a bit more difficult. We'll be seeing Bobby Boyd coming up, hitting Don Maynard, playing a short area of about 10 yards. We'll see Jerry Logan, the strong safety, going over, covering men deep. We'll see Mike Curtis, number 32, dropping to his left, taking away the strong zone. The object to beat Maynard and to provide very little room for Joe Namath to throw to.
All right, now we sent Kyle Rote to the Jet training camp during this last week with a film crew, Pat Summerall to the Colt camp, and we interviewed some of these players, and we had them talk about defense. Now, we have to be mindful that the players aren't going to try and tip the other club off, and maybe some of the things they say aren't really what we're going to see here today. But first of all, we talked to the pass rushers, Billy Ray Smith, Bubba Smith of the Colts, and to the Jets, Gary Philbin.
You've seen the Jets only on film. How would you rate on the basis of that? How would you rate their offensive line?
I think they have a good, solid offensive line. They're fairly quick. They've been giving Namath pretty good protection all year. I think he's only been thrown 17 times all year, so I'd have to say that they're pretty fair overall offensive line.
I think that 17 is correct. Do you see any obvious weaknesses?
Well, I think we see some, but whether we're going to be able to take advantage of them come Sunday or not, I don't know.
Well, that leads me into the next question. Do you plan any change in strategy?
I don't think we're going to have any change at all. The things that we've done well all year, I think we'll just stay with them.
Jerry, in this matter of pass rushing, of course, the fellow who will try to be preventing you from getting back to Earl Morrall or Johnny Unitas, the Baltimore quarterback, will be Sam Ball, the right offensive tackle for Baltimore. Can you tell us a little bit about his style?
Well, Kyle, just watching in the movies, I've never played against him. I haven't had the experience against him physically, but watching him and trying to see what bad moves he might have or tendencies he has that are his weak spots, I have to say he's a good tackle. He doesn't have too many bad tendencies at all. Some fellas like to lean out at you. Others like to put their head down, but he seems to pretty fairly good overall. But I hope I have found one, and I'm going to try to use it Sunday.
Actually, he's a little larger than you are physically, is he not?
Yes, he is, Kyle. I think he's 6'5", 255, and so he has me by about 3 inches and 15 to 20 pounds. But I don't think it's going to be the main.
Jerry, how much will you vary your pass rush? Different maneuvers?
I'd like to say that I split it up, taking the inside and outside. Mainly we are responsible for the outside as far as containing the quarterback, but I don't think Morrall likes to roll out of there too often unless the tackles are giving him a lot of pressure, and we hope that maybe that might happen this Sunday. Otherwise, it's any way you can get in there.
How about you personally and your rush that you're going to put on Joe Namath?
Well, Joe sets rather deep, probably deeper than anybody we faced all year. And as you know, he is one of the quickest release of the football in the league. And it's just a matter of really of us getting off the ball as quickly as possible and trying to get that extra step while he's going back. And when he turns to look for his receivers downfield, maybe we can be there.
Probably you say that Namath sets probably deeper than anybody that you've seen all year. Do you figure that might be an advantage or a disadvantage?
Well, I figure it might be an advantage as far as I'm concerned because I'm coming off the corner. And a lot of times this year, I know I've overrun the quarterback, and maybe this time when I come around the corner, you'll be right there.
It sort of cuts down the angle that you have to turn when you
Right.
get by the blocker. What about Namath himself? Is he predictable? Have you been able to get a pattern on what he might do?
No, I don't think he's predictable at all.
He's been very accurate with the long bomb, and he throws it a lot. And if that's any indication of what he's predictable of, then it would be the long bomb.
In your own analysis of your own team, your own defensive unit, do you think you're better against the rush or against the pass?
Well, to give you an honest answer, I think statistically we've been better against the rush. And that's our main concern this week will be the pass defense. But again, everybody will have to work extra hard because they have that great a team.
All right, we all know Namath is back deep. He has one of the quickest releases in the history of pro football. Can Baltimore put a pass rush on him?
Baltimore, Kurt, has put a pass rush on just about everyone, so I don't think Joe is going to have that easy an afternoon. Obviously, Don Shula has built this great Baltimore defense to stop Joe Namath. You'll see a big rush, a very, very big rush. We're going to see the importance, really, of the rush, Kurt. We talked a little bit about the zone, but there's no defense, really, that could prevent Joe Namath from completing passes unless you put a big rush on. You're going to see looping lines, and these guys are just absolutely perfect at the loop. We won't see a great deal of red dogging, but Joe is going to see the very best defense he has seen all year.
All right, now how about the Jets? Can they rush Morrill?
Well, that's going to be, in my mind, one of the real big questions, because if you can, the ball game is totally different. Number one, Earl is absolutely great at calling a predetermined game plan, Kurt. Number one. Number two, he absolutely loves the pocket, and he'll stay in that pocket. Thirdly, he lacks mobility. He cannot come out of that pocket. He does not extemporize as well as Joe Namath extemporizes. He likes to go with that predetermined game plan. Now, if Philbin could get to him, or if Berlin Biggs on the other side could get to him, we might see a totally different game.
All right, now we're going to take a look at the other elements of defense, and we'll have more of the Super Bowl activities of 1969 right after this message. Now, how about stopping the running game? And we talked to Ralph Baker, the left linebacker of the New York Jets, and Mike Curtis, the left linebacker of the Baltimore Colts. Here's what they had to say.
Ralph, we've been talking about Baltimore's big tight end, John Mackey. How much are you going to be concerned with holding him at the line of scrimmage and not letting him get downfield for passing?
Well, I'll tell you, Kyle, this year we found out that we weren't having a real heck of a lot of luck holding up the tight end at the line of scrimmage, so we've gone to a defense where we stack our linebackers and more or less give the tight end the option of going ahead and going downfield. We'll just try and cover them rather than try to hold them up.
About your running game, or your defense against Baltimore's running game, the Red Dog, of course, can be utilized as a great pass rush, but also, as you well know, against the run as well. Will you be mixing it and using the Red Dog to defend their run?
Right. Well, again, we're not really a big blitzing team, but we will mix in a few blitzes now and then to, to keep them honest and leave them know that we have them. But we more or less try and play sound football, and as long as we can stop them that way, we'll stick with that. If we're not having any luck, then we'll have the Red Dog.
Well, the word is out that they plan to throw short to their little swing halfbacks and what have you, to bring your linebackers up close and then try and hit over the linebackers with their receivers with their longer passes. Are you pretty much prepared for this?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think a lot of teams in our league, like to throw to their halfbacks, especially a team like Oakland. And last week we had to cover them. And if Baltimore does it, that's fine with us because we still have some double coverage pass defenses, and I think we can still cover their flanker and split end.
Ralph, John Mackey is an exceptionally large tight end, and when they do run the ball, he'll be blocking quite often on you. What type of blocker is he, as you have determined in the film?
Well, I'll tell you, just looking at the films, like Jerry said previously, we've never played against this team before, but he looks like he's as fine a blocker as there is in pro football, as fine a tight end blocker as there is in pro football. And whoever he's blocking on, they're going to have their hands full, I guarantee you.
It's been said this week that the Jets are going to try to establish a running game against you and maybe in that way cut down on some of your pass rush.
Well, I'll tell you, we're prepared for their running game. They have two good backs. I think we can stop them up. But right now, our main objective, I think, is the passing game. We always go into the game looking towards the run, my position particularly, looking towards the run. If we can stop, we always stop the run. If we can stop the passing, we'll win.
Confident that they're going to stop any running game. What do you think about anybody establishing a running game here today?
Well, Kurt, when you've got a front four as big and as tough and as mobile as the Colts have, you would feel confident also if you played that strong side linebacker. But the New York Jets are awfully good up front. They are as good as they come. John Elliott may be young, but he's an awfully good football player. So the front four, to me, are pretty close. It may be a standoff. The linebackers, Kurt, could well be the difference. Mike Curtis is an awfully good one. I think the running game could be. I think if the New York Jets are to win this football game today, Kurt, I firmly believe they must get 100 to 130 yards on the ground, 9 to 13 first downs. If they do that, this is going to be a whale of a football game.
You mean they just can't come out here and just fill the air with footballs today?
That's for sure. I think we should keep our eyes, obviously, on Matty and Hill, but let's not forget Emerson Boozer, number 32, and also Matt Snell, number 41.
All right, thanks very much, Aldi Regattas. You know, several moments ago, we heard the Jets and Colts say they know each other only through their exchange of game film. But that's not altogether true. Although they've never met before in a football field, they do form pro football's most closely knit family circle. And today's super game is really a family feud. For example, Weeb Eubank of the Jets also coached the Colts, and he's the only coach to ever win championships in both leagues.
And let's not forget Johnny Sample of the Jets, who's the first player ever to be with the championship teams in both leagues.
When I was with Weeb at Baltimore, I run with Leonard Laws. We were both rookies back in 1958.
The quarterback who directed Weeb's coach to championships in 1958 and 1959 was John Unitas.
The fellow who coached the Colts the 1968 National Football League title is another of Weeb's former Baltimore players, Don Shula.
Weeb also coached me in Cleveland before we both came to Baltimore.
Another Colt I coached, who's now with the Jets, is Vic Turner.
Mark Swinsky has also played for Weeb on both teams.
I broke in with Baltimore in 1961. In camp with us that season was the guy who scored 3 touchdowns in the 68 NFL title game, Tom Matty.
1961 was also the year Weeb managed to get Jimmy Orr down from Pittsburgh here to Baltimore.
Another fellow who came from Pittsburgh to Baltimore has a real family tie with the Jets, is Lou Michaels.
That's right, Jimmy. My brother Walt is a coach with the Jets.
I wish Lou nothing but the best. We won't speak to each other until after today's game. In the meantime, I want to thank the Colts for allowing us to have Curly Johnson.
I was on Weeb's taxi squad in Baltimore in 1959 when Odor Bracey was already a 2-year veteran under Eubank.
It's my job to intimidate the quarterback, but I played with a guy on the Colts who did a pretty good job on receivers, Johnny Sample.
The year after I left the Colts, Jerry Hill broke in under Weeb at Baltimore.
Now Weeb's got another Hill playing for him on the Jets, Winston Hill, who was drafted by Baltimore. Another guy who was drafted by Weeb when he was with the Colts is Bob Vogel.
I know Matt Snell of the Jets pretty well. We were teammates at Ohio State.
Bob, you've got a teammate who'll probably give me a hard time today. He's another of Weeb's former players, Billy Ray Smith.
I'll have plenty of help, Matt, and still another of Eubank's boys, Dan Sullivan.
The oldest Colt who played under Weeb is Dick Szymanski. He goes back to 1955.
Hey, I'm not that old. Don Chinnick joined Weeb and the Colts in 1957.
And if anybody gets by me today, there's another Eubank pupil who will pick up one, Bobby Boyd.
We're really a tight-knit pro football family, right, Weeb? Right, Bobby. I'd like to wish all of you, Jets and Colts, a Super Bowl.
And that is some family circle. Now, we'll continue with more of the pregame activities of the 1969 Super Bowl game right after this message.
Some of our best businessmen are women, like fashion designer Cardinale, head of one of the most successful couture firms in the country. She travels coast to coast more in 1 year than most people do in a lifetime. But being a woman, she looks at things, well, a little differently than other business travelers. The things she remembers about an airline are things most men wouldn't even notice. We notice them. Maybe that's why United flies more businessmen and women than any other airline.
Like the friendly skies of United.
Now let's meet some of the key Jet and Colt players that you'll be seeing in today's Super Bowl. The name of the game may be defense, but Joe Namath of the Jets stands for offense. Yes, Namath is on the hot seat. Most of the pressure is on him. The AFL Player of the Year must have a super game if the Jets are to become the first AFL Super Bowl champs. By unanimous agreement, Namath's the most exciting quarterback in pro football. Even on those rare occasions when he runs, it's high adventure because of his gimpy $400,000 knee. Namath reads defenses well and can improvise, which may be one advantage he has over rival quarterback Earl Morrall. Namath's favorite target is flanker Don Maynard, who set an all-time pro record for yardage gain receiving. Maynard has deceptive speed. He's been favoring a leg injury, though, the past few weeks. Halfback Emerson Boozer, says Jet coach Weeb Eubank, finally is ready to show the slashing running form that enabled him to score 13 touchdowns during half a season before a knee injury took him out in 1967. If Boozer's right, the Jets could have a potent ground attack. The Jets' leading rusher is fullback Matt Snell, really a jack of all trades. He's an excellent pass blocker, fine receiver, but he's at his best on the ground, where he outgained any Colt back during the regular season. Split end George Sauer was the Jets' leading pass catcher for the second year in a row. Sauer has the hands, the moves that prompted Eubank to rate him with his former Colt ace, Raymond Berry, and that's saying a lot. Jerry Philbin, Merlin Biggs are the Jets' defensive ends. They helped New York to finish first in the AFL in total defense. Biggs is especially good as a pass rusher, and at 270 pounds can leave a lasting impression on a quarterback. Philbin led the Jets in getting to the opposition passers, but is rated not as strong on running plays, although many AFL rushers, including Oakland's Charlie Smith, about to be stopped here, would tell you otherwise. Philbin's chief assets are speed, hustle, and constant movement. We'll have a look now at the Colts and more of the pregame activities of the 1969 Super Bowl game right after this message.
Lime. You know, I've got a thing for fresh, juicy lime. Smell that. That is delicious. Boy, if only they could make a lime shave cream. Too much. They did. It smells like lime. It's lime. It's really lime. They made a lime shave cream. Who did?
Rapid Shave, makers of famous regular and new menthol mint. Rapid Shave Lime, a whole new kick in shaving.
Do you have those cigarettes with all the cute little holes in the tip?
Cute holes? Sure.
Thanks.
Hey, mister, how about some of those skinny cigarettes?
In this fancy, frilly, you gotta have a gimmick world, there's one cigarette that doesn't go along.
Camel filters?
Camel filters aren't for everybody. There's no compromise in the tobacco, no nonsense about the taste. Camel filters. They're not for everybody, but then they don't try to be.
You know, Weeb Eubank says his Jets are better than the AFL's two previous Super Bowl representatives, Kansas City and Oakland. But he also says Baltimore is better than the Green Bay teams that won both those games. The defensive-minded Colts are led on attack by quarterback Earl Morrall, who came to them in a trade late last August. Regarded as a journeyman player since 1956, Morrall got his big chance when Johnny Unitas was injured, and he made the most of it. He was named NFL Player of the Year. Colt halfback Tom Matty has overcome a case of bleeding ulcers, an unhappy experience as a quarterback, and the label of garbage runner to establish himself as Baltimore's leading ground gainer. Matty doesn't have great speed, but he has power to spare. He can turn the corners, and he's really dependable when the Colts are near the goal line. He's one of football's most versatile and valuable players. Split end Jimmy Orr and tight end John Mackey provide Baltimore with two of the best receivers in pro football. Eubank calls Mackey, number 88, that great giant. He's the best there is, maybe the best there ever has been at tight end. He doesn't mind being crowded. He's hard to bring down. He's a devastating blocker and can run the end around as he's doing here. He'll be a major problem the Jets will have to solve today. Flanker Willie Richardson may be another dilemma for the Jets. He's tough to single cover. He's very strong fighting for the ball, especially in enemy territory, where Morrall makes a practice of throwing to him deep. Now for the defense, and here's tackle Billy Ray Smith, a KG vet. And end Bubba Smith, who mixes size with speed. And there's end Ordell Brazy. He's tops of the pass rusher. And here he is in action, together with tackle Fred Miller. The Baltimore front four dropped the opposing quarterbacks 45 times during the regular season. The most terrifying Colt is Bubba Smith. He'll be number 78, 6'7", 295, and he rises up to ruin you in many ways. He uses his arms here in the NFL title game against Cleveland. And because the name of the game is defense, the Colts are heavy favorites to win today's Super Bowl game. Baltimore posted 3 regular season shutouts and a 4th in the NFL championship game. In 4 straight games, they didn't allow a touchdown, and they tied an NFL record by allowing only 144 points during the regular season. That's an average of 10 points a game. It's almost unbelievable in pro football. The Jets are an explosive and dangerous team as long as Joe Namath is operative. In order to keep him that way today, the Jets will have to establish a ground game, and the Jets secondary will have to be flawless. And that's it for now. Coming up next, the 1969 Super Bowl game with Al DeRogatis, Jim Simpson, Kyle Rote, and myself. We'll be on television and over on NBC Radio, Charlie Jones, George Ratterman, and Pat Summerall. So stay tuned. We'll be back with you right after station identification. What?
Just, you're right. You're right.
Don't talk all the time. Wait a minute. What do you want?
Teddy, Lou, Kurt, Kyle, and I want to say you're doing a great job.
Second half of this AFL-NFL World Championship game is brought to you by Chrysler Corporation. Your host for today's game, Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge. By Winston, now America's largest selling cigarette of any kind. By your Phillips 66 dealers in all 50 states. By RCA, the first name in home entertainment. And by Trans World Airlines, the all-jet airline. Up and away, TWA. 7-0, the Jets leading, and for those that joined us late, the Jets drove 80 yards in the second quarter. Matt Snell went over from 4 with 9:03 to play in the first half. That has been the only score of the first half. And now, for your halftime pleasure, we now present America Thanks.
Yes, the great horn of plenty which throughout American history has poured forth the God-given blessings which have inspired us all, and those who came before us to build a system of government upon whose foundation has rested the guiding light for free men everywhere. Pouring forth from our great horn in the early years was the spirit of '76, that spirit which brought our colonists together to overcome all obstacles in forming a new nation. The Liberty Bell rang out over the Declaration of Independence to celebrate the birth of our new nation, ringing with such enthusiasm and zest for a new life that it cracked, but that spirit remains forever. The Statue of Liberty, presented to us by the people of France in recognition of our bold new world, stands in New York Harbor as a beacon of hope and inspiration to those who seek a new life in a new world, a world which offers freedom for all men. The freedom of education, the right to choose one's own path of progress, to develop one's mind in the field one chooses, to seek the means of improving one's intellect in an atmosphere of freedom of ideas and theories. Freedom of speech, the right to say what we feel without fear of oppression if it's not agreeable to others. The right to voice our thoughts on the subjects and individuals that govern our lives, whether others agree or not. We have the right to express ourselves. Freedom of vote, the right to choose the men to speak for us in the governing of our lives. The right to vote for the issues that we feel are best for our way of life. Whether we vote right or wrong, win or lose, we still have that right. Freedom of religion, the right to our own manner of faith, to profess our own beliefs, to worship, to honor, to live the way of our religious thoughts without fear of harassment or impediments, the right to believe as we wish. Thank America for everything. Yes, for sports, for football, and marching bands. And here is the famous Florida A&M University Band, Dr. William P. Foster, director.
tribute to America, ladies and gentlemen, the Florida A&M University Marching Band. The Florida A&M University Marching Band opens the Tribute to America pageant by forming an eagle, the symbol of American pride and power. Watch the eagle as it flies gracefully to the tune of Under the Double Eagle. The band will now execute a series of designs and patterns to a medley of music which is symbolic of America's great history and heritage.
Attention, please, with numbers 455, 455, and 446. 446. Time to report to gate 7.
I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed. A perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I have a dream that one day we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. Let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own. The audience is asked to please join in singing the chorus of the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Florida A&M University Marching Band under the leadership of Dr. William P. Foster. The score, the New York Jets 7, the Baltimore Colts nothing, as we get ready for the second half kickoff of the 1969 Super Bowl game.
There is no such thing as the perfect tour to Europe. TWA learned that 22 years ago when we began working with travel agents on European tours. So we've covered ourselves. We offer literally hundreds of tours to Europe. No matter where you want to go, no matter how much time you have to spend, nor how much money you have to spend. With so much to choose from, it should be very easy for you and your travel agent to find the perfect TWA tour for you. And now's the perfect time to plan it. Come in and take a tour of our tours.
Let's go down to the sideline now to Jim Simpson and a special guest.
And our special guest is the nation's #1 comedian and turning out Bob Hope to be the #1 sportsman. We see at the World Series and now again at the Super Bowl.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm really shocked by this game today. These Jets are doing something today, aren't they? Huh?
They sure are. What about the New York Jets? Now, I understand that you came in here as a Baltimore supporter. Are you changing your mind?
Well, actually, I think that the Jets forgot to read the papers. Huh? Man, I want to tell you, they're roughing these Ohio guys are doing it. Snell is so far as a star, and Ohio, Matty, you know, is out there. He's doing great.
Both Ohio State boys.
Oh, they're rough.
I understand, Bob Hope, that you're big men with weddings.
Yes, sir. Last night we had the wedding. We flew down here with Ted Agnew and Governor Rhodes, and this is a thrilling game, Jim. I'll tell you that.
Well, Bob Hope, thank you very much. We look ahead not only to the second half of the Super Bowl, but your tournament in February, and, of course, your special this Thursday.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jim. We'll see you down the desert.
Thank you, Bob Hope, very much.
Thank you very much.